Good morning, students. We were discussing about Indian national movement. We were discussing on our social, economic, religious, cultural situations. By the middle of 20th century, we could start our country, declare itself as democratic republic. I hope you know the meaning of the word republic. The head of the country is elected. It is not a hereditary post. Hereditary means naturally it goes from the father to son or a daughter, or mother to son or a daughter. In India, it is not. It's a democratic system. So after getting independence, we wrote the constitution, implemented the constitution, and government has moved ahead. Even after republic, we know 70 years are over. Within the short span of time, India has reached into a high level position in the world group of countries. We have been a member of United Nations organization, and we were the leading figure in the NAM movements. World leaders would listen to us. World leaders were a bit scared of Indian position, because India had not surrendered its independence to any foreign nations after independence. We had an independent foreign policy. But when we come to the nation, we have not achieved much as we expected. There are plenty of reasons. The socio-economic or religious problems of the country. In the society, we have divisions. We know still, if we go down to the villages, the caste division or discrimination is explicit. People are treated or dealt with a caste ideology. In different parts of India, there were religious conflicts. There were divisions on the grounds of economic growth. Some people were lucky to get economic development due to the arrival of factories or due to availability of resources in those areas. So like the divisions were. But in some areas there are no developments, so naturally the people remained poor. India in the beginning had established well-known education institutions, but the standard of that institution when we compare with other foreign countries have gone down. So the caste divisions, the division on the basis of economy, rich and poor, the gap is widening. Rich are becoming richer, poor are becoming poorer. The taxation process is not helping the people to become equally in economics. And in the constitution we have written down equal rights for each and every citizen. But many times we see they are not implemented. Persons who are in power or in authority get higher facilities or higher entertainments, which is not equal. It is not given by the constitution. So privileged class are being formed. It is against the constitution. The ruling class writes or makes the rules and regulations according to the feelings they need. Majority is permitted to look after the administration or take care of the administration when democracy functions. But the majority has to take care of the minority also. That's what we are going to study next year more in detail about the constitution when it comes. So into that society, India has come inside. It has improved a lot. It has placed its place in high esteem. But there are some villages. Now we see there in your textbook the photo of slums in Bombay is given. But in Bombay there are multi-story buildings, 30, 20, 25-story buildings are also there. At the same time slums are also there. So one side developments, one side not up to the expectations. That is what we see about India's movements. Poverty is still there in villages. You know, before independence there was a separate park, like in South Africa, where the lower caste people could not enter inside. The constitution has banned everything, but still in villages, some places, some people are not permitted to enter. Not by the government, but the private individuals decided. But we have to be very happy with our democratic system. Pakistan, which has got independence along with India, had left a democratic path many times. The military took over the administration from the elected democratic governments. So democracy was killed in Pakistan many times. But in India, we still hold on with our democratic values and democratic governmental systems. We look into the problems of the people, even if it's a minority group. Constitution guarantees the right for every citizen. You know, Sri Lanka is a small country. It faced civil war. I hope you know what is civil war. A war that is fought between the people of the same country. That is known as civil war. So in Sri Lanka there was a civil war. What was the reason for civil war? Because the majority people or majority rulers were Sinhalas. The Sinhala people were not ready to accept Tamil as an equal language. In the government and in education institutions, Sinhalas were not ready to accept Tamil. So those Tamilians who had gone from India and settled down in Sri Lanka or were citizens of Sri Lanka were not happy. So they were asking for a share in the administration and recognition of the Tamil as a language under leadership of Veripulli Prabhakaran. But ultimately, nothing has happened. But a long-range war, fight, conflict. When Indian Prime Minister is said to be assassinated by the LTTE, Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, an organization which was there in Sri Lanka which wanted to have a separate country for Tamilians in Sri Lanka, centering Jaffna area. So Mr. Rajiv Gandhi had to face that problem. He was killed at Sri Perimbattur in Tamil Nadu. His body was strewn into pieces by the bomb that was placed by a lady in his belt, in her belt. So, in that way, when we consider Indian democracy is so much vibrant, active, it takes the problems of the people and solves them. The leaders were prompt, ready. When the problem of language came up in India, even by the Tamil Nadu people not ready to accept Hindi, the Indian leaders agreed for that. So India remains united. There was no civil war. We have got so many languages in India, recognized languages, classical languages. Equal status is given to all the languages in India. So the respective states can have their own language. They can teach the children of their state in those languages. Primary education is being held in the local languages. And we know our thinkings emerge from the language which we know, the mother tongue that we hear. And if we go out of one state to another, we try to learn that language and try to our brain to work out the language. But our thinkings will be naturally flowing through the mother tongue or the language which we have learned. So the constitutional makers had made Hindi as well as English. Official language of the central government is Hindi. But the state governments are having their own official languages. We know if the UP Chief Minister writes something into Hindi into Karnataka, Karnataka Chief Minister writes back in Kannada, there will be confusion. So that is why another medium, other language which is not neither of those two, that's English, is being accepted. So having all these difficulties and dilemmas or problems in India, in culture, in language, in food style, in religion, in caste, in economic situations, we have lived up to this many years. Don't think all these problems are there only in India. All the countries of the world have faced problems like this. Take South Africa. Till 1994, South Africa was being ruled by England or a group of white people. They consisted only of 20% of the total population of South Africa. They were ruling South Africa. And that South Africa, when they got independence under the leadership of Nelson Mandela, or when apartheid policy came to an end, white agreed to hand over the power to a democratically elected, not to the black. That you must understand. A government which was elected by the people, democratically elected, and naturally majority of them are black, because 80% of the population in South Africa are black, and that 80% did not take a revenge on the 20%. So the magnanimity of that 80% has helped South Africa to be a developed or progressing economy and progressing country in social as well as economic activities. So like that, India able to keep our democratic system, having all these problems. Pakistan, even our neighboring countries, Bangladesh, which has got independence from Pakistan. Now the problem that is going on in Myanmar. All this, our neighboring countries, China is having single party rule. So proper democracy is not existing. Nepal also recently only it got its own constitution. So neighboring countries are having all this. Still we are in India able to have our democratic system. That is something great. We must appreciate the founders of Indian Constitution and the people who elect and change the government whenever they need. Whenever they are felt unhappy with the governmental system, they have changed the government. So it is the right of the people, and people can change any government anytime. That is the right of the people, and people will do it whenever they feel it is needed to change. So a democratic system, that is the greatness of India. So we come to a conclusion of our history textbook. Monday onwards we will deal with the civics. There also we are going to discuss about Indian Constitution, other things. Okay, thank you very much.